So in symptomatic therapies, I would say perhaps, you see two streams of clinical trials. So one, optimizing treatment for chorea, and this is a trial called KINECT-HD looking at Valbenazine, which is yet another form of VMAT2 inhibitor. So kind of a cousin drug to drugs that are already available, such as tetrabenazine and deutetrabenazine, but with the hope that it's a single dosing medication. And as perhaps we saw a little bit with deutetrabenazine, potentially a better safety profile compared with let's call it the old cousin, that tetrabenazine. And then, as I mentioned in my presentation, not yet consistent results or positive results, but looking at all the other, symptom clusters of Huntington's disease, namely behaviorally. And so you see some trials coming out looking at things such as irritability, others also looking at function, but those are still in very early stages, so we really don't have results. But it's something to look into the future because it's really unmet need. And then really I think the biggest news is with different shades of gray, I would say. It's really disease-modifying therapies and trying to intervene on the huntingtin pathway. That, again, is the protein synthesized by the affected huntingtin gene in Huntington's disease. And so actually, as I was preparing for the AN presentation, we heard about, just in the form of news press release, results or preliminary results about two trials that both they are antisense oligonucleotides, so they basically signal the messenger RNA of huntingtin for a earlier decay. And so one was the study called GENERATION HD1, looking at the non-allele specific approach. So both the normal and the mutated huntingtin were targeted. And those, it seems that the trial will be, at least dosing was stopped because of what the sponsor mentioned has a unfavorable benefit risk profile, and still more data is still under embargo, so it can really not be shared at this point. But really, it signaled that the drug, for whatever reason, was not working. I think it's fair to say that. And then another trial which looks at the allele-specific approach, so the same ASO, but looking at reducing only the mutated huntingtin. These other trials show that there was not sufficient target engagement, so not necessarily safety issues or efficacy issues, but the drug was not doing what it's supposed to do. So still, we are aware that same sponsor is looking at a different molecule, trying to do the same effect. And then we have some other trials that are just on starting or planned to start earlier, in which, and briefly, what they try to do is, again, target different aspects of huntingtin. And so one of them tries to inhibit the engagement of the RNAs outside of the nucleus into the ribosome, so we prevent the synthesis of the huntingtin protein. And another trials are trying to modulate either the synthesis of the messenger RNA or looking at changing the splicing so that the abnormal mutated huntingtin really doesn't lead into formation of a protein. So again, very exciting times, and it's very early. And as we've seen with these more recent results, there's always room for negative results, but there's always a hope because we can always learn from them. So my prediction will be for the next few years, we'll more about these trials, and hopefully eventually we'll be able to find the disease-modifying therapy for Huntington's disease. So the outlook is at least hopeful and with a lot of potential.